What's up, guys? We are back with another Marvel Legends review, and we're taking a look at another Build-A-Figure repurpose. This time around, it's not just a repaint, but it's kind of a repurposing. We've got a new deluxe figure in the Toxin release. So this guy, of course, is Monster Venom, but with a whole bunch of new stuff and a new head. I do not have that older Toxin figure. It never really did anything for me, so I never got it. But this guy is using a Build-A-Figure that I really like, because I dig the Monster Venom, and yeah, there's a whole bunch of nonsense going on up over there. Tons of weird, goofy stuff going on with the head and these tendrils and the little mouths all over him, so I had to take a look at this guy. So we've got him here in our oversized style box for the deluxe releases. So it's the same kind of shape as the normal Marvel Legends, just bigger and wider. Figure there in the big window. You get the Venom logo down there on the bottom. You got some pretty fantastic artwork on the spine of Toxin, and in the back of the box has a big product shot of him and a tiny little bio. So let's do it. Let's pull him out and take a look. And here he is out of the package, our Toxin, our deluxe Toxin figure. And this guy is, of course, mostly a reissue of the Monster Venom Build-A-Figure, which at this point he's been used, what, 3 times now? And I'm not really complaining because I love this body, and it works really well when used for, well, the appropriate type of characters. So this guy is a version of Toxin that I am not at all familiar with, have done zero research, don't even care. He looks cool, so here we are. So let's see what he can do, see how he moves around. Granted, if you've messed with the Monster Venom Bath or the Deluxe just Venom release that they did not too long ago, you know exactly what's going on here, because as far as the entire figure goes, he moves exactly the same. So we've got a head that can look up really, really good. We've got these little tendrils on his back, and they do tend to pop off, so they might fall off while I'm doing this. You've got a head that can look down pretty good. Depending on how you want to hunch him over, it works a lot better. He can rotate, but of course he has got the head that kind of sticks forward, so it really changes the game in terms of rotation. It's really not the best implementation of that. He doesn't really have much tilt side to side, a little bit, but not much. The arms, of course, do go out at the shoulders. Since this is a Build-A-Figure reuse, he is meant to come apart. So there's a good chance when you're moving him, he might pop apart, at the arms at least. Not really an issue, it's just kind of the way it is because he is the BAF reused. You've got full rotation, and then you've got your bicep swivel. You've got a single jointed elbow. It's really, really tight on my figure, and I recall the Monster Venom BAF being the same. Basically just 90 degrees, it's a single joint. And then you've got hinges and you've got rotation at the wrist. He does have an ab crunch. He goes forward super, super good. I mean, I really like this. This is one of my favorite things about the BAF, is that he was able to loom over characters really, really well. And then he kicks backward a little bit. See what I'm talking about? These do tend to kind of just pop off because you don't have to use them. We'll talk about that. And then you've got waist rotation. So ab crunch with waist rotation. Legs go out about yay far, pretty good for such a beefy figure. And then they kick forward basically all the way. A little bit, actually more than a little bit. That's pretty good on the back kick. You do have your thigh cut. We've got our double jointed knees down here, and they are super, super ratcheted. So you're going to feel that as you move them. They go pretty good as far as, such a big figure. He has a shin swivel. And then you've got your rocker, and you've got forward and backward hinges down at those ankles. So he does move really well. I mean, I was a big fan of that Monster Venom Bath when he came out. I was a big fan of that Venom reissue when he came out because I do like this body. It is really big and beefy, but it still moves really well. The ab crunch is incredibly well done as far as forward movement. The only real area that I still have a little bit of a nitpick with is when it comes to the ability to tilt that head. I wish he could do a little bit more just to get kind of a side eye on someone. But otherwise, he does move really, really well. Now, aesthetically, of course, this guy is quite a retread because we've seen this figure twice before already. That's not a knock on this guy because, he looks cool, so that's great on its own. He looks fine despite the fact that I've already seen this body 3 times now on really big figures. I think that this body still holds up. It works really well. It's big, it's beefy, it's bulky, and, he does have a decent amount of new stuff in comparison to, say, like that Venom reissue where it was just a straight repaint. This guy is not just a repaint. He, of course, has a brand new head, and he's got all of this business going on up here. Again, like I said, I have no idea what's going on with this version of Toxin, why he's this big, if he's supposed to be this big, what story it comes from. None of that matters to me. It all came down to the fact that he looks really cool. And I still dig this body. I love all of the muscle striation all over this figure, all of the veins. I mean, he is, you know, like what, a day out from a bodybuilding competition, basically. He is as dry and sinewy as possible, and I really like that. It shows just how menacing and strong this figure is as far as the character goes. The paint on it is pretty well done. He's mostly just a red to black shading, so you've got black that goes up to about the middle ab section, and then you've got red that comes down and it's just faded in the middle. And if that's the way he's supposed to look, then it looks really good. So I have no basis for, in reality, for what he's supposed to look like, but I think it's pretty nice. The actual fading is pretty well done. The only area that is maybe a little bit lacking is this tendril area, because it does overlap. It could have been hit a little bit with some black. But the figure itself is beefy, has a lot of size, and, you know, as far as your money goes, you're getting a lot of plastic here. He does, like I said, have a few new things, though. The majority of the figure is reuse, and that's okay, but he has all of these little tendril pieces. It's 4 different pieces, and you don't necessarily need to use them all. Of course, this is, you know, his symbiote coming to life, basically. He's got all these, like, you know, Little Shop of Horrors kind of mouths coming off of him, which I think are really cool. The box art does show that they have green mouths and painted teeth, you know, kind of bone white teeth, which they unfortunately are not painted here. I would love to see what he looks like with somebody who, not me, has any skill in painting these up to give them some sort of life, because they are easily faded into the tendril situation. If they had a little bit of green, they would certainly pop a little bit more. But the tendrils themselves do look really good. I mean, they definitely show that he is kind of going nuts with his power set here. So you've got 4 different pieces. So you've got this one here, which is just tendrils, and it pegs into this one. And then you've got this one here, which is tendrils and another, no, it's just tendrils. I thought it had a mouth on it. This is just tendrils. All of the mouths come from the 2 that actually peg into the back. So this one actually kind of slides in, and then this one pegs in the back. They're keyed, so they only go in a certain way. So if you wanted, you didn't have to have all of this. You can take some of it off, or if you choose, you can pop them entirely out. And I don't know if you would want to do this or not. I certainly don't, but you can take them all out, and he is just sort of, you know, base Toxin with a little bit of the tendril situation, and then one of these mouths. So you do have a few options if you really want to, you know, get into how you want to display this guy. So at least they're not in there glued in. You can play around with them as you choose. So you've got a little bit of, you know, wiggle room in terms of how he looks. And then you've got this big noggin on the top of his neck here, which looks really good. I mean, as far as a new piece, this thing is fantastic. It's got a ton of character and just a lot of detail. So it's kind of like a pruny head. There's a lot of wrinkles all over it. He's got that big black stripe that runs across the eyes, and then you've got that big open mouth, which is painted up really well. All my paint is clean and crisp. There's no issues here. The little kind of metallic yellow eyes are really well done, and then you've got that gnarly green tongue in there, which looks really good. And of course, that's not a reuse from the Build-A-Figure piece. It had kind of a crazy tongue as well, but this guy has a new one all his own. So the head really caps off a nice way to reuse this figure. And of course, he doesn't have any accessories outside of all of this stuff, so he is a what you see is what you get kind of figure. And then as far as comparisons go, I figure we would maybe quickly start out with the other figures that use this body. So we've got the Monster Venom Bath over here on the left, and then you've got the Venom reissue over here on the right. And I mean, there's really not a great deal to compare to. You can just see that they are all the same exact body up until you get to the head and then the neck region. These guys all have slightly different you know, symbiote doodads that are popping off of them, because these two share those parts, and then Toxin, of course, gets new pieces that socket into those already sculpted little bits. So you can see what they look like next to each other. They're the same size. There's really not a whole lot to compare to, honestly, but you know, let's see exactly how big he is. So here he is with a Cobra Trooper. Here he is with another Build-A-Figure. So here he is with Apocalypse, of course, the actual Build-A-Figure, not the Age of Apocalypse. And then let's swap him out, and we've got Venom. So this guy, you know, might work pretty well alongside him to give you another idea of what a symbiote looks like. And then with another more 6-inch style figure, here he is with the Beskar Mando, and something definitely not that really applies at all, but why not, just to show him. Here he is with the asset, the child, everybody's favorite Baby Yoda. So he is a humongous figure. I mean, you're definitely getting a lot of plastic for your $30. It's a great deal as far as Marvel Legends go, and it's a really solid reuse of the Monster Venom Bath to give you this hulking beast of a figure. So yeah, overall, there's really a lot to like about this guy. I mean, even for someone like me who doesn't really have any idea what's going on with Toxin in this version, he's a cool action figure, and that's really what it comes down to. This guy is a cool action figure built off of a base figure that I already like, and I've liked in 2 different releases. I really still dig this Monster Venom body. I like all the changes they did here as far as the paint, as far as this new head sculpt, and then all of the nonsense that's going on the back. It really shows off his power set, and it just shows a different side of a symbiote where he's got all this crazy stuff coming out of his back instead of just sort of being there with a few little tendrils. You have a number of options to show all this stuff coming out of the back of the figure, and I really like that. It's just a nice way to be able to easily change him up and have this big hulking beast of a figure on your shelf with just all this crazy tendril mouth nonsense coming out of him. And it's definitely going to be a bit of a focal point with your other symbiotes. So that's going to do it for this look at the Marvel Legends Deluxe Toxin. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.